Can you hear me?
I'll be live. Hello, I'm
Hi.
Asia, and my Tumblr name is Bellini Beignet.
I'm Monet, and my Tumblr name is Vicky Ginger Snap Madden.
Hi guys. We are here because we have decided for one of our summer projects together, to read 50 Shades of Grey chapter by chapter, so that you guys don't have to submit yourself to the stupidity. 50 Shades of Grey is a 2011 erotic fiction novel by British author E.L. James, set largely in Seattle. Is the first installment in a trilogy that traces the deepening relationship between college graduate Anastasia Steele and a young business magnate, Christian Grey. It is notable for its explicitly erotic scenes featuring elements of BDSM. I had no clue about this eroticism in BDSM. BDSM stands, I know that S&M is sadism and masochism, and BD is probably like bondage and something.
Death. Dick.
Bondage and dick. Yeah, that's what it is. Bondage and dick death. But I'm reading mine on a simple Nook Touch SG Gloss base. My Nook's name is Bailey.
I'm reading on a Kindle Fire. His name is Alfie.
Yeah, we name our electronics. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that we did was say, it's in first person. Really?
Yeah.
In the first paragraph, she's basically getting her Bella Swan on. It's the same kind of introduction as Twilight. I hate myself. I'm awkward and frustrated, and I don't know how to brush my hair. Okay, it says, Kate is my roommate, and she has chosen today of all days to succumb to the flu. That bitch, how dare she get sick? Kate is sick. She's her roommate, and she can't get to this interview, so she asked her roommate to go for her. It took her 9 months to set this interview up. And she said, if I don't make it to this interview, it would take another 6 months to reschedule it, probably. You give the interview to your dumbass roommate who doesn't know how to brush her hair instead of asking one of your colleagues, one of the people you work with, hey, would you like to go do this interview in my place because I'm sick? I think people would be jumping on that opportunity as a senior in college. Somebody who wants something on their resume would want to interview this big time guy but no, let me ask my fuck ass roommate who doesn't know how to brush her hair and has no clue who apparently doesn't have no clue who this guy is. They're in Vancouver. They have to go to Seattle, right? Mm-hmm. Seattle. I Google mapped it, and it's a 3-hour drive. So 6 hours to and from, right? I think I could have sworn I read that she said it only took an hour and a half. So maybe that bitch is speedballing. I don't know.
So she arrives at Mr. Gray's Global Enterprise. It's a huge 20-story office building. Written discreetly in steel. Written discreetly. How do you write something discreetly?
Oh, see, I can't picture that. It's written discreetly in steel over the glass front doors. Maybe it must be like a plate, like a nameplate type of thing, steel plate. I don't know. She talks in circles, but go ahead.
Onwards.
This whole chapter describes everything in its glass, its steel, its sandstone. White. Everything's white. Get the fucking description out. We know what it looks like. Shut the fuck up after. Like, behind the solid sandstone desk, a very attractive, groomed, blonde young woman smiles pleasantly at me. She's wearing the sharpest charcoal suit jacket and white shirt I have ever seen. She looks immaculate. Now look, she describes the woman as groomed. So is that meaning that she is not groomed? That Anastasia herself is not groomed? She says, I'm here to see Mr. Grey. Anastasia Steele for Catherine Kavanaugh.
Who's her friend Kate?
Who's Kate? Anastasia Steele sounds like a porn star, but whatever.
Well, she will become eventually. So, I tuck one of the escaped tendrils of my hair behind my ear as I pretend she doesn't intimidate me.
Okay, now look, this is
tendrils.
Tendrils, and it's just like, say that she had a lock of hair loose, or a curl of hair loose, or strand. A tendril? Like,
isn't that like a piece of chicken? And she goes on to describe that everything in the room is white. The chairs are white. The walls are white. The woman behind the desk is white. She's a fucking idiot.
She hands me a security pass that has visitor very firmly stamped on the front. What?
Firmly stamped.
What? As opposed to weakly stamped? She says, I can't help my smirk. Surely it's obvious that I'm visiting. I don't fit in here at all. Does that sound like Bella Swan to you? It sure does to me. Okay, now we talk about these elevators.
elevator whisked me with terminal velocity to the 20th floor.
You're on a mission to meet this motherfucker I don't know. Like, what, bitch? Why can't you just say I went up the elevator?
I'm confronted by another desk of sandstone with another young blonde woman dressed impeccably in black and white who rises to greet me.
Stop it! Stop! There was a floor-to-ceiling window with a view of the Seattle skyline that looks out through the city toward the sound. I guess that's something in Seattle, whatever. But this is the thing. It's a stunning vista, and I'm momentarily paralyzed by the view. Wow.
Italicized, wow.
Italicized, wow. Okay, first of all, she says it's a stunning vista, and I'm momentarily paralyzed by the view. Obviously, you're wowed by this. Why the fuck do you need to tell us in your italicized subconscious bullshit that it's wow? This bitch has a satchel, right?
She doesn't have 6 times
She's
already.
mentioned that she has a satchel, not a bag, not a backpack, not a purse. Satchel.
It's a purse. Damn it.
It's your goddamn bag. Stop calling it a satchel. She's called it a
I know nothing about this man I'm about to interview. He could be 90. Or he could be 30.
Whichever.
Okay. Remember this.
Yeah.
I've never been comfortable with one-on-one interviews, preferring the anonymity of a group discussion where I can sit inconspicuously.
We can do it. It's 3 a.m. Leave us alone.
At the back of the room. To be honest, I prefer my own company, reading a classic British novel, curled up in a chair in a campus library.
What we decided was that Stephenie Meyer was just an elementary amateur styled writer. And we got what we paid for. This woman, E.L. James, she's trying too hard. There's a lot of right click the word and find a thesaurus word, because there's a lot of words that nobody uses in day-to-day language. And now that we've learned that she's a British author as opposed to American, maybe that's it. But the way that she words things, I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
I still can't get over this fucking satchel.
Judging from the building, which is too clinical and modern, I guess Gray is in his 40s, fit, tanned, and fair-haired to match the rest of the personnel. I'm excited to meet him, because if he's as entertaining as Anastasia, we are in for a fucking treat. Mr. Gray will see you in a moment. May I take your jacket? Oh, please. I struggle out of the jacket. This bitch can't even take off her jacket without struggling.
Oh, she's like the most awkward person I've ever read about, seen in a movie, met in my life.
And we're both pretty awkward. Perhaps Mr. Gray insists on all his employees being blonde. I'm wondering idly if that's legal when the office door opens and a tall, elegantly dressed, attractive African-American man with short dreads exits. I have definitely worn the wrong clothes. Why? The only descriptions that she's given so far about people in the book are the color of their hair and their eyes. I think it's interesting that she chooses to describe him as African American when she has not mentioned anybody else's race. So that race or ethnicity or whatever. So I guess the point is that the default race in this book is white. Just like all the chairs and the walls and the floors. Now we get to meet Christian Grey.
I push open the door and stumble through, tripping over my own feet and falling head first into the office. This bitch falls and smacks her head into the floor.
I am on my hands and knees in the doorway to Mr. Gray's office, and gentle hands are around me, helping me to stand. Now, her being on her hands and knees and being all that's foreshadowing to me.
So
this bitch is gonna be on her knees. Yeah, we're excited, not. He's tall, dressed in a fine gray suit, white shirt, and black tie, with unruly dark
copper-colored hair
and intense bright gray eyes that regard me shrewdly. It takes me a moment to find my voice.
First, I've never seen copper-colored hair in my life. I'm pretty sure in Twilight it was reference to Edward's copper-colored hair or something like that.
She says, actually, I mutter, if this guy is over 30, then I'm a monkey's uncle. What college student says I'm a monkey's uncle? Who in general says I'm a monkey's uncle besides a monkey's uncle?
As our fingers touch, I feel an odd, exhilarating shiver run through me. I withdraw my hand hastily, embarrassed. Must be static. Must be static. It has to be. He has a desk the size of a fucking pool table. Chuck Bass does not have a desk that big, and he has sex on it every other day.
Everything is white and steel and glass and sandstone, and everybody's perfect, and all of a sudden there's a mosaic painting in his office, and that's what's making fucking interesting. I just don't think that this man would have that. Maybe that's just me. Maybe, does that make sense to you?
No. I've seen many fine men in my life, and I've never described one as Adonis.
Neither have I.
Who says that?
Her cousin Bella Swan.
She says that too.
I'm pretty sure Bella Swan describes Edward Cullen as an Adonis.
I'm not pretty sure. I know. I'm 100% sure. I remember that part.
And then she says, I have some questions, Mr. Gray. And he says, I thought you might. Why the fuck else are you here? Okay, so the interview basically is
horrible.
Is a horrible. She's obviously not trained as a journalist, and apparently neither is her fuck ass friend who sent her there. During this interview, we're trying to figure out what the fuck this guy does. We know that he owns his company. He's a CEO. She calls him like mega rich or a mega billionaire or something like that. Apparently he employs 40,000 people. So I'm figuring that this is some sort of like engineering place or whatever, but he does it on his own. He doesn't have a board to answer to. I'm just like, but it doesn't, I still don't know what he does. Maybe that's an oversight by us, but we really don't know exactly what this company's about, what this guy does, but we know there's a telecommunications thing. We also know that he's interested in farming equipment.
Alien.
We think he's a vampire.
I'm not saying he's an alien, but he's an alien.
Alien, robot.
Time Lord. She goes on to say that he seems old before his time. He smiles, revealing perfect white teeth. I stopped breathing. He smiled at you and you stopped breathing.
That's an accurate reaction. Somebody smiles at me and I get up. I'm done with you.
I sail. I fly. I indulge in various physical pursuits.
He shifts in his chair.
Oh, really?
So about halfway through the interview, he starts to ask her questions because she asks, I guess he's done with her stupid ass questions. She asks if he's gay, and that's about the turning point. So he starts to ask her, he asks, what are your plans after you graduate? Things like that. And she apparently doesn't have any plans.
She says, I'm not sure if I'd fit in here. And he asks her why she would say that. She goes, it's obvious, isn't it?
And then her mean ass subconscious says,
I'm uncoordinated, scruffy, and I'm not blonde. She comes up with scruffy.
Like,
strange muscles deep in my belly clench suddenly. Her vagina. She says in her belly.
She is so. Every time she talks about her belly, assume that she's talking about her vagina.
Yeah.
That's basic. I think she's confused about her body part. So then at the end, he basically offers her a tour of the place, and she's like, basically overcome with horniness and doesn't understand what that feeling is. And she's like, no, I should go have a long drive ahead of me.
Until we meet again, Miss Steele. It sounds like a challenge. Or a threat, I'm not sure which.
It's like, you can't differentiate between what might be a playful challenge and a threat.
Anastasia, he says as a farewell. Christian, I reply. And mercifully, the door is closed. That's the end of chapter 1.
Mercifully, the door is closed. It's pretty hilarious. I'm very entertained by it. I'm not saying it's great writing. I'm not even saying it's good writing. I'm saying that it's entertaining. Anastasia is Bella Swan's cousin. Christian Grey is a conglomerate of Dorian Gray and maybe a little bit of Tony Stark, maybe a little bit of Damon Salvatore.
He is like a mixture of the two guys that Katy Perry is talking about in E.T. and You're So Gay. Converge them, and you have Mr.
Christian Grey. Fuck ass Kate. That's my nickname for her. Fuck ass Kate, because she's a bad journalist.
I like the satchel.
I think the satchel. I think the mention of the satchel is the highlight of the first chapter. We're gonna go ahead and do chapter 2 now. You can hit the link probably right in this little area, right here, somewhere in there. You see it? Okay. Grasp it. Click it. I'm Delaney Beignet.
I'm Vicky Ginger Snap Madden.